Hey guys, this is Sacramenti with another playtest video of my Lightflow Resurrection Control Priest deck. So this time we are facing a Warlock. It actually turns out that he's a Demon Handlock, but in the mulligans I assume that he's going to be a Zoolock, so I mulligan accordingly. So you could tell by by a couple of turns in that this is going to be a Handlock fight, so realizing that, we don't really do anything for the first couple of turns. We just sort of, let our cards accumulate, wait for the opponent to make the first move before we respond. And so he taps. Pretty much the giveaway at this point that it is a Handlock. We draw Resurrect. Pretty useful in conjunction with Sylvanas if we manage to get her down on turn 5 or 6, or 5 I guess, since we have the coin. He plays the Gang Boss. Now I consider using Death here to get rid of it, but it's just 2 damage. It's really not that big of a threat on the board, so I'm just gonna let it sit. Just save the Shadow Word Pain for something perhaps a little bit scarier. He plays a Twilight Drake. Big problem for this deck. We don't run any silences. You're welcome to modify the deck to run something like Mass Dispel or Silence, but in this current form we don't. And what ends up happening is a lot of these dragon decks with the high toughness do a lot of damage to us, because Light Bomb is pretty ineffective against them. Just a raw Light Bomb is not going to work on turn 6. You can see he plays a second one now, so we start to get in some trouble here. So what I do is to threaten his board. I'm just going to quickly just coin out a Sylvanas here. That way, either he's forced to just start going for my face and just ignore Sylvanas, which works out for me. I have a lot of heals in this deck, and we can stabilize. And Handlock doesn't really have a lot of bursts going for them, other than with like Dark Bombs and such. So it's not a lot of bursts. It's not like an Oil Rogue. So he does that. He goes ahead and ignores the Sylvanas and goes for the face, getting in as many minions as possible in the process to try and get Sylvanas to get a poor steal. I have a lot of options this turn. I could just run Sylvanas into the Drake, which is what I was considering, and just Nova, which would take care of 2 of the minions, but it would generate a imp off of the Gang Boss, which we don't want, and it would leave the other Drake alive and healthy, and it would incentivize him going for my face, which we really don't want. So I decide what I'm going to do is just try and get a Light Bomb off. If I trade the Sylvanas into the Gang Boss, get him to summon the 1/1, then Light Bomb, I'll make sure that Sylvanas dies off, and I can kill off everything but the 2 Drakes, and then steal 1 from Sylvanas' Death Rattle. Nice thing about Sylvanas, and one of the biggest reasons why I traded her into this deck for what I used to have, which was Cabal, was that you can do this. You can do something like this, combo with Light Bomb, and really take care of a board that would otherwise be very inconvenient to Light Bomb. So what he ends up doing is using a spell to clear off his own Twilight Drake now. Another one, Mortal Coil, to finish it off. That's fine with me. At this point, I've taken care of a good deal of his board. I get the Wild Pyro draw here, so I'm just going to do that. Smite that. Clear it. Heal the face. And end turn. We're at a pretty low health total, so I mean, you do get worried a little bit when you're this low, because they can. I mean, I just use Light Bomb, right? He can start playing gigantic threats, and there isn't a whole lot I can do about them, and my health total's low. So he goes ahead and plays Thaurissan to cheapen his hand. Now, what I have this turn, since I'm dealing with a really bad set of draws here, I have to just go for the Resurrect play and hope I either get Sylvanas or Wild Pyro. Both of those would be okay. And I decide that basically after top decking this Smite, because I could finish him off if I get the Wild Pyro. So I go ahead and hope I get the Wild Pyro or Sylvanas. I get the Wild Pyro, he does the 1 damage, I smite with the spell power, get the other proc off the wild power to clear, and heal my face with the remaining 2. Yeah, again, I just had to cycle the Power Word Shield, hope for a more useful card. We got Smite. In conjunction with Thanos, it managed to clear a minion we would have otherwise been unable to deal with. So you can see why I've included Blood Mage Thanos and Wild Pyro in this deck, even though they are weak minions that go into the res pool, because they help with that clear when you really need it. Now he's played Lothab. Really good tempo turn for him. Luckily for me, the top decks are real right now. I get Death. Even if I didn't get Death, though, we could just glory the Lothab and just heal our face. And basically he'd be swinging for a net of 1 with it, so it wouldn't be that big, that threatening anymore. That's the nice thing about Glory, is it gives you that substitution for an early minion that would otherwise cause a Resurrect deck to be pretty poor if I had to put in like a zombie Chow in the 1 slot there instead. I'd have much poorer performance overall in Resurrect, but Power Glory fills that slot in pretty well. So Resurrect I really feel has gotten back with the TGT meta. So we heal our face with Paltris, hope we get something good here. We get Ysera, pretty good. Not the best, not the worst, definitely in the higher echelon of minion quality we could get off of Paltris. So, and Ysera is pretty hard for a Handlock to deal with, like unless he wants to spend this 6 mana to Siphon Soul it. So we're starting to stabilize now. We spent the last couple turns sort of healing our face and dealing with his board at the same time. And you can see our hand is just loaded with threats, right? I'm trying out Sneeds in this one. If you check the deck list, I have Kel'Thuzad in there. I'm sort of torn between these two. I'm trying out Sneeds to see how well he works in this one. For this particular match, he works out better than Kel'Thuzad would have, but it's still sort of a toss-up which one of those is more effective as the 8-drop, or just plain Ragnaros. Okay, so he plays a 3/5. Lucky for us, we saved that Shadow Word Pain for the longest time. We could have used it on that 8 gang boss, we didn't, and now it kills a Belcher right when we needed to stabilize. So rather than healing my face, even though I know my health is getting pretty low with his Hellfires, I just play Sneeds. I need tempo, I need stuff on the board right now that he has to deal with. That's the way we sort of come back and win, rather than trying to heal up. So just play Sneeds. He's tapping himself pretty low as well, because he needs to come up with something to deal with this board. So he uses Implosion for 3, just heals his face. This presents us with, that was a very low tempo turn, right? So this presents us with an opportunity to really just try and heal ourselves this turn. So what I do is I kill the heal bot with the Sneeds, and then just Nova to clear off the little imps, clean the board, and heal my face. If I really wanted to heal a lot, I could have just used these glories that I got here on Ysera and just swung in and healed for a whole lot. But I'd rather save them, because you never know when they might be useful in conjunction with a Wild Pyro later. I was considering playing Wild Pyro as well to just threaten lethal, but even with the Wild Pyro on the board, it really wouldn't make too much of a difference here. I'd have to draw Ysera Awakens and finish him off that way, and it wouldn't have mattered because he Siphon Souls Ysera. It wouldn't have necessarily been a wrong play to play Wild Pyro there, though. Okay, so we drew Velen. So what we're going to do now is continue to maintain board control while keeping our minions as healthy as possible. Again, just threatening the board, because he's tapping every turn, right? He's killing himself. So what we need to do on our end is to just keep our board full of threats. Just keep the tempo, keep the threats coming until he can't deal with it. And so he plays a Dr. Boom. So now, this turn you get to see sort of the potency of Resurrect and why this is a Resurrect deck. Because we Resurrect, and we get Paltress, which then lets us heal our face for 4, get another legendary off Paltress. Now this time, the last time I got lucky with the Ysera, right? This time I get very unlucky and get Acid Maw. Problem here is those boom bots. If Acid Maw stays on the board, they could clear my board. Now, I misplay here. What I should have done, since I have Dream in my hand, is to just go ahead and Dream the Acid Maw back, trade the Velen into the Dr. Boom, and just go face with the rest of my stuff. That way, we don't risk just losing our whole board. And Velen is BGHable anyway. So that's what I should have done. What I did instead was just sort of get a little impatient. I played the Drake as well. I just wanted to threaten lethal. And I didn't really stop to think about what Acid Maw could do to my board with those boom bots in play. And so you can see he'll take full advantage of Acid Maw being on my board here. He'll start by BGHing the Velen, which again I should have traded into the Dr. Boom just to clear that threat. He'll then tap just because, you know, he wants to get as much of his deck out into his hand as possible now to just find a way to swing back into the game. Silencing Sneeds is huge because Sneeds was my way back in. If the boombots hit and cleared Sneeds, I would at least get a minion off of it. But now he starts doing the trades after silencing it. I got lucky that that boombot killed Acid Maw there, and that the other boombot hit my face. So my misplay wasn't sufficiently punished, but I ended up winning the game. So I did misplay that significantly toward the end, but it should still give you a sense of how this deck will work against a